Hello, everyone. I'm Vicki Oldham. Let's make sure that's not the first slide. Can you go to the first slide? Back. Yes. Okay. Yes, Vicki Oldham. And I want to thank the city of Sarasota and Sarasota government, Sarasota County government, for funding this project. It's called the Newtown Conservation Historic District Project. As a marketer and a communications person, that was a long phrase. I needed something catchy and engaging, and so I tested some topics, I tested some names, and came up with Newtown Alive. I was born at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. My address, 3510 North Orange Avenue in Newtown. And I was a child during that Booker High School boycott that some of you may have heard about. I heard the bullhorn of John Rivers, who was our NAACP president back in the day. I heard his bullhorns encouraging people to get out and vote. So many things that I saw as a child growing up that I did not understand. For instance, I watched my grandmother, Viola Sanders, dress on a Saturday morning in this white outfit. It was a white dress, white stockings, white shoes, and she would put on this fez, and it had a purple tassel. And she said that she was going to lodge meeting. I didn't know what that meant, but she did this religiously. It wasn't until this Newtown History Project that I understood what she was doing. She was securing some sort of health care and medical care for us, and she was doing that through a organization called the Eastern Stars, or the Lily White Benevolent Association, and this is how African Americans could pay for their health care, because Sarasota Memorial Hospital was not open to us back in the early days. So members of these organizations would put their money in a kitty, and then if someone needed health care, then they would get it through an ambulance, the Lily White Benevolent Association ambulance, and they would get transported to Tampa for health care at a colored-only hospital. This history project is so important because if I didn't understand what was happening during our history, then how would you understand if you were dealing with the Newtown community that is considered blighted? So I think that this work is important, and if anybody in the room is touching Newtown in any way, serving our residents, teaching Newtown students, you gotta know Newtown's past. And that includes school board members, county commissioners, city commissioners, administrators of any kind, arts organizations, foundation members. This history is so important. I am a journalist. I am not an urban planner, okay? So do not expect urban planning terms to come out of my mouth. I know how to tell stories. Communities like Sarasota are learning how to now leverage the benefits of history. How did this history project begin? When Fred Atkins became a city commissioner, he had small community group meetings, and the community residents told him, we want you to focus on our history because we believe that it's going to be lost. They were looking at what was happening in the Overtown area. Do you understand that Overtown was where the first African American community settled? It's now renamed Rosemary District, but that is where our early settlers were. The Newtown residents said, please help us to preserve our history. Suddenly, well, it was not suddenly, it took a long time to pull this money together to hire somebody like me to come in and do this history project. But we did a phase 1 project, much like what communities like Cortez and Venice, you just saw Venice, and the Cortez Fishing Village. Fort Pierce has done a history project as well, focusing on Zora Neale Hurston. But we had to do a number of things. For phase 1, I was hired to put a research project together, documenting 100 years of the community's history. And we also did oral history interviews to talk with the people about their remembrances of the past, the people that they dealt with, the experiences that they had. And phase 2 of the project was markers, historic markers. So we have 15 historic markers throughout Newtown right now. We've as a way to help revitalize and stimulate the economy in this community, we've turned Newtown into a historic district. It does not have the designation yet, but that is something that we're hoping to go after if the National Park Service approves our latest grant. But it took a lot of people, a lot of partners to help this project to come to fruition. And you're looking at some of them now: volunteer researchers, university departments, students like Billy from New College. Certainly appreciate your work, Billy. But there was a fear that gentrification was going to come and change the Newtown community. And that's why this project is so important, because the people, the residents said, what do we have? We don't have a whole bunch of money. We don't make, as you just heard, 6-figure incomes, but what we do have are our stories and our history. And so that's what this project is all about. Overtown, the displacement of people began in 1957, slowly, with the slum clearance program that swept the country. And then by the 70s, most of our black community was displaced, whether involuntarily or voluntarily. So this project is all about heritage tourism. And in that research report, we've gathered over 300, 400 primary and secondary source documents. That's important because before this, our history was scattered and in fragments. And guess what? When it's like that, it's not quite as powerful. But when you put all of this information together in one document, a research report and a book and some of the other products that we've produced, you can see a very, very powerful history of a people who had determination and courage and creativity and enterprise to survive Jim Crow segregation and just some really, really tough experiences here in Sarasota that, coming up here, as I told you, I really didn't understand myself until I started working on this project. We dug high and low looking for information, and we came across some surprising finds. I've got 30 seconds more. Some surprising finds, like recordings in Sarasota County at the History Center. We found paintings at the William Hartman Gallery. All over this community, there were little pieces of the African American community's history. But I'm proud to say that I'm one that helped to pull all of this together. As I said, the oral history interviews were very, very important because they confirmed, these interviews confirmed what we were reading in the documents. Those are our deliverables that we presented to the city of Sarasota for phase 1. And these are the products that we've produced in 2 years since we started this in 2015, and we now have newsletters, a research report, a website, newtownalive.org, with all of this information on it. We also have an app, so if you want to download the app through the App Store and Google Play, please do that, because we've got video clips of people, the pioneers themselves, talking to you about their experiences of growing up in Newtown. 15 historic markers. We do trolley tours. It's easier right now for me to organize a group trolley tour. So if you'd like to book a group trolley tour, please contact me. A speaker series, walking tour brochures are in the back at our table, and many documentaries that are on YouTube. So all of this is, as I said, helping us to tell a powerful story about a powerful people that, you know, sometimes they don't feel so powerful, and sometimes they don't look so powerful. But when you look at that history and you know what they did to survive, then you understand, wow. And I tell you what, they won't be so invisible. Here's a personal story, and I'm going to be quick. Immigrants in our community, Mexicans. You know, I had never really paid too much attention to the Mexicans in our community until I developed a friendship with a gentleman in my gym. Ever since that time, they have not been invisible in my life anymore. I want to speak. I want friendships to develop out of that one relationship. So I'm hoping that Newtown and its people will no longer be invisible in this community. I think this history project will have a lot to do with that. Thank you.